Well, aesthetically, it wasn't that easy because things had been shot randomly. As I mentioned before, I had to hide the camera. I couldn't take care of the sound equipment. I basically had no crew. I mean, when I was shooting her in my or her apartment, so our apartments were next to each other, I just hid the camera and I couldn't set up a tripod or anything. So some of the material I shot is rather amateur-like, no doubt about it. But this might give the film not only a certain spontaneous feel, but on top of it, also, yeah, I think it's fun this way because after she passed away, we decided to shoot some stuff on top, like just to build a topography in the film to make understand how this lady moved around and where she was really living, you know. And this is like classic camera. It's beautifully shot by a young cameraman called Daniel Hollowega. And so there's these two parts of the film, you know, the rather wild, shaky camera thing I did throughout the period of 9 years, and then what was done after she had passed away. Plus, there's a lot of material, um, Super 8 stuff that I shot in New York in the early 90s when I was living there. Because at some point I realized that it was just impossible to just stay within the boundaries of these two apartments where she and me were living. Because while she was always staying in her apartment through all these years, through these decades, I traveled the world and I was always on the airplane basically. So I would bring the world to her apartment, and she, in exchange, would give me her love. And um, well, ethically, yeah, as I mentioned before, well, she I think that as people get older, you know, they're more willing to be filmed because something remains. And actually, of this old lady who are called Omsch, well, I should maybe explain the title because in German, the word for grandmother is Oma. And a friend of mine just once said, "Oh, your neighbor, she's such a sweet old Omsch." So there's no intellectual concept or whatever behind the title. It's just Omsch just means grandma because she was like a wonderful grandma for me. And yes, back to the ethics. Yeah, one could only wonder, is this okay to film somebody who's not really into being filmed? But somehow she was, you know. I mean, otherwise she wouldn't have accepted it at all. And for me, the whole film is a monument for her, for the beauty of a person like her, and of course, as I consider the film pretty much an argument for being really old.